All right, good morning, friends. Today we're going to go ahead and finish up on the two center garden beds. Kevin was so nice to get the beds, at least this bed, top covered with the compost and manure mix. So I'm going to go ahead and get the plants that I want to put in this bed planted over here. But let me show you what I'm going to be putting in here because I got some extra stuff. All right, so a couple of plants that I'm going to be putting in here are, I have the sombrero hot coral echinacea, and as you guys know, I so love the coneflowers. I've got two of those left over that I'm going to put in this bed. I also have my Sugar Rush purple bicolor wallflowers. Now, these guys got a little damaged while I was gone, but once I get these into the bed, they will end up bouncing back. I got my annuals, is the Snapdragons, and I think that pink will end up looking really pretty, giving this garden bed a pop of color for, the fall and then also the winter, because that's the one good thing about, the Snapdragons. They may not end up producing as, vibrantly or as full in winter months like it will in the fall, but these guys will come back in the spring. Even though these are annuals, let me rephrase that. I have found that when I plant the Snapdragons, as long as they are nicely mulched, they will end up coming back for me the following year, because I have some in the backyard that had come back. I got some combination of pansies in the purple, the white, purple and white. I got, and also yellow. I think those color combinations will look really nice. And then I ended up getting some mums, and these are white. And I love how even though they're going to be white, the tips of them are pink. And that's one thing that, I prefer to get plants that may not be fully bloomed so that I can enjoy them more so. So let me go ahead. I'm going to get these laid out where I want them at, and then I'm going to go ahead and get them into this bed, and then get this bed mulched, and then move up to the other center garden bed where I'm doing, some additional cleanup there. So let me go ahead and get these guys placed. I'll show you how I'm going to plant them in here, and then we'll get these guys planted. Okay, so this is how this is going to be laid out to be able to have the mums there in those three locations, making a triangle. And then I'm doing clusters of yellow, purple, and white of the pansies all the way around. And then I plopped in the Snapdragons and also my coneflowers. And I think this is going to look absolutely gorgeous. Now, I do have bulbs in here, and is a contributing factor to why I chose the plants that I'm putting in here, because as the mums die back, the bulbs will be able to come up. Same thing with the pansies. I don't mind if the bulbs are coming up in between the pansies, but I don't think I have them that close to the edge. They're more woven into the garden bed. Guys, this is going to look nice. So let me go ahead and get this planted up and mulched, and I'll show you guys this bed. It rained yesterday, and as you guys know, my garden is on a hill, and I am not about to let y'all see me slide down this hill. So I will show you once I get the bed all done. Okay, so this bed is done. Oh my God. I just love how the pops of the pinks, the whites, the purples just brought this garden bed alive. Now, this is the thing. My sage, my Gargaria, in the spring, I'm going to cut that down, so a new flush will come in, and at that time my roses will be doing their first bloom, and so won't my daylilies and also my daffodils that I got in here. Now I'm leaving the leaves on my Penstemons because that'll act as a protectant for the new growth that'll end up coming up. But man, guys, this is part of the reason why I like to plant sparingly. You know, I like to see the ground, initially, and then as everything starts to come to life and start to grow and blend, it ends up making the garden look so pretty. I love it. All right, so let's go on up to the center bed so I can go ahead and get that cleaned out. All right, guys, I was trying to beat the sun before I got up here to this other bed, but I'm going to go ahead, dig up my black-eyed Susies, and as you guys know, I love my black-eyed Susies, but they just spread too quickly. And as I stated, I like to see some of the ground before everything starts to blend in. So I'm going to dig those out, put them someplace else. I'm going to thin out my Veronicas, get all of the yellowing leaves off of my daylilies, my ornamental onions, and then I have an area where my creeping phlox is that it looks like it's died back, but I'm going to just clip all of that stuff off. And then once I get the bed cleaned out and weeded, I'll start putting in the topsoil and then start planting the additional annuals, and yeah, just annuals are going to be going into this bed. So let's get started. Now I am going to find other locations to put these black-eyed Susies, but I'm going to clean them and thin them out. Okay, so I got those out. Let me just go ahead and get my daylilies cleaned up and everything cleaned up, and then get the beds weeded out. Going to cut back or at least pull the yellow off of the ornamental onions, and any of the dried sticks that are on there. But you see what I mean about the yellow on my daylilies? I don't like that. Leaving the green on the ornamental onions allows it to take in the sun and create additional blooms for in the spring. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that stuff done. All right, so I got the bed cleaned out, everything trimmed back, and now I'm gonna start loading up the topsoil in the bed before I start putting these flowers that mimic what is in the other bed in here. All right, guys, so I got the topsoil in, and this is sort of how I am going to be laying out the beds here. But I'm going to be putting a yellow and a white viola next to the purple. I'm going to go ahead and get this knocked out, and I will show you when I'm all done. All right, guys, is this not gorgeous or what? I love it. You know, I love being able to clean out the bed and add the punches of color, trim everything back to where everything looks really good here in the front garden bed. And like I said, I just mimicked what I had done over in the other center bed. So I got my mulch lined up. Let me go ahead and get the mulch put on, and then we will take a look, and I'll walk you through some of the things that I have in here. Okay, so the bed is all mulched, and it is just looking so vibrant. I love it. That is my Woodland Phlox. You know, and this is the weird thing about gardening. I have another one that's over there, but it didn't do well. But I just snipped it down with the hope that it'll come back up. Now up here, in where the little sign is, those are my Wallflowers. I got 2 of them. I cut them back, but there was still green on those. And then I put some pansies around my blood good Japanese maple. I trimmed back my salvia that the bees are loving. I trimmed and thinned out my veronicas. I popped some Snapdragons in here. And then also some chrysanthemums. And I think it looks so nice. You know, guys, like I said, I'd like to see the ground. And then what this does, it allows, you know, good air circulation. I also have here, right there, what is it called? A blue thistle. That too bloomed, but then it didn't come back. But I have another one down over there that it looks like it's coming up. But I also have tons of daffodils in here from last season. So this bed is done. I am so loving how it looked. And then I did clean up the my phlox. So I'm hoping that that's going to end up bouncing back, and this is going to look gorgeous for fall, winter, and early spring. All right, garden friends, I am so glad that I was able to get these 2 beds done, and they look amazing. And just love the fact that as we in fall roll into winter, to be able to have the color and the beautiful flowers that I have chosen to put in these new beds. It's going to look really nice come this spring. Well, thank you again for visiting Inspiring Garden Corner, and I so appreciate your support. And if you enjoy my content, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Have a great day.